Which one is a better YouTube studio camera, an iPhone or a GoPro? Let's find out. So I've made already a couple of videos on how to use your GoPro as your main YouTube studio camera with some satisfying results. If you want to watch one of these videos, I'm going to leave a link up here. And I don't know if you know, but I was using this iPhone, my iPhone XR, as my main YouTube studio camera for about 5 to 7 months, something like that. And as well, I was extremely satisfied with the results that I got from my iPhone. But because I am a video quality geek and I'm a camera geek, I love high quality video, I decided to invest into my Fujifilm X-T4. But if I had to, I could have run my whole YouTube channel just with the iPhone or even with my GoPro HERO7 Black. So let's see which one of these two cameras is more suitable to you. First of all, I'm gonna start with the pros and cons of each camera, and then I'm gonna do a couple of tests to show you which one has better image quality and which one is better for you. So let's start with the pros of using an iPhone as a YouTube studio camera. So the first one is that it's a lot more versatile, obviously, than the GoPro. The GoPro is just a camera. It can't do anything else, just film. And an iPhone, you can call, you can edit your videos, you can edit your photos, you can upload to YouTube, to Instagram. You can do so many more things with an iPhone than just filming your videos compared to something like the GoPro. The second thing that's good about the iPhone is that it's always with you, and the best camera is the one that you have with you at the particular moment. So the GoPro, you have to remember to take it with you, but because this is your main phone, at least this is my main phone, I always take it with me, so I always have basically a camera with me. The next one I'm not really sure about, but I think the iPhone has a larger sensor than on the GoPro, and because of that, it's giving better low light performance than on the GoPro, but again, I'm not really 100% certain about that. The fourth benefit of using an iPhone is that it doesn't have the fisheye look like on the GoPro, so the field of view looks much more natural on the iPhone than on the GoPro. And the last one is that if you have a newer phone from like 2020, 2019, you probably have 2 or 3 cameras on your phone, like on the iPhone 11 Pro, for example. You have an ultra wide lens and a wide lens and also a telephoto lens all in one phone, whereas on the GoPro, you just have one lens and one perspective, one camera basically. Now let's talk about the cons of using an iPhone as your main YouTube studio camera. The first one is that you will have to invest into a special application if you want to change your settings like ISO, shutter speed, white balance, and so on and so forth. I highly recommend using Filmic Pro. That's what I've been using for the 6 months that I've been using this camera as my main YouTube studio camera. It costs around $20 US, which is pretty expensive for an application, but it gives you all the flexibility that you need when it comes to changing the settings, white balance, ISO, and so on and so forth. The next thing is that you can't monitor yourself when you shoot with the rear camera of the iPhone. What I was doing in the past when I was using this phone as a main YouTube studio camera is I was mounting my phone on a tripod and I was putting like a mirror in front of it just to mirror the screen of the iPhone, so I'll be able to see myself, to compose myself, and so on and so forth. Whereas on the GoPro, I can connect my GoPro directly to my iPad Pro or even to my iPhone and monitor my shots with my iPhone or with my iPad, which is a lot easier in my personal opinion. Now let's talk about the benefits of using a GoPro as your main YouTube studio camera. The first one is that it's a lot easier to use the GoPro as a camera than the iPhone. You see, the iPhone is a lot more versatile, yes, but it's not really a camera. It's a phone first before it's a camera. That makes it a little bit harder to use than the GoPro in my personal opinion, because the GoPro is just a camera, so you have dedicated buttons for record, to power it on, to change settings, and everything happens really fast. Whereas on the iPhone, you have to download an app, you have to do certain things to dial in the settings that you want, and so on and so forth. So in my personal opinion, it's a lot easier to use the GoPro as a camera than the iPhone. The second one is that the GoPro has a super wide field of view, so if you're doing something like action sports on a consistent basis, it's gonna be a lot easier to use the GoPro and capture everything with the GoPro than on the iPhone. And also, it's a lot easier to mount and use this camera, the GoPro camera, as an action camera, because it is an action camera, than an iPhone, for example. The next one is that it's a lot easier to connect the GoPro to your smartphone or to your iPad or tablet and use it as a secondary monitor, whereas on the iPhone, I can't really connect my iPhone, for example, to my iPad and use it as a second monitor. I mean, I can, but I have to buy a special app for like $5 or $10, something like that. Whereas on the GoPro, I can connect for free my GoPro to my iPad and monitor my shots with my iPad or with my iPhone or any other Android phone on the market. Now let's talk about the cons of using a GoPro as your main YouTube studio camera. So the first one is the low light performance of the GoPro. I think is a lot worse than on the iPhone. I think the iPhone, like I said, has a bigger sensor than on the GoPro, and because of that, the low light performance of the GoPro is a bit worse than on the iPhone. Next thing is the extreme wide visual look on the GoPro, even when you shoot in linear mode. So in my personal opinion, the look of my iPhone, the perspective, the field of view of the iPhone looks a lot more natural to the GoPro. On the GoPro, it's like too wide, in my personal opinion, which is really good for like action sports and stuff. But for shooting something like I'm shooting right now, the iPhone wins in my personal opinion. And the last thing is that you'll have to invest some money into a GoPro, whereas with an iPhone, you probably already have an iPhone or a phone, so you can use that camera to film your YouTube videos. But with a GoPro, you're gonna have to invest extra money on top of your phone if you want to get a GoPro. Okay, so now let me mount both of these cameras on tripods and see which one gives better results. So right now I'm using my iPhone here and my GoPro HERO7 Black right here. The iPhone is set to 4K 24 frames per second, 100 ISO, 1/48 shutter speed, and white balance is set to 5000 Kelvin. On the GoPro, I have the resolution set to 2.7K because I want to have the linear field of view to avoid the fisheye look as much as possible. If you have the GoPro Hero 8, like I said many times before, you can use 4K with linear field of view, but unfortunately I have the GoPro Hero 7, so I'm using 2.7K 24 frames per second. ISO, I am using 400 minimum and 400 maximum because that's the only way I could match the exposure on both cameras, on the iPhone and also on the GoPro. The shutter speed is set to 1/48 on the GoPro as well, and the white balance is set to 5000 Kelvin, like on my iPhone. Now I must say the colors from these cameras look completely different. On the GoPro, I look a lot more saturated and orangey, kind of yellowish even. And on the iPhone, I look kind of white, something like that. Also notice how the color of the background light is a lot different. So on the GoPro, the color of the background light is a lot more orange, whereas on the iPhone, it's kind of yellowish. And also, I'm not gonna do any post-production work. This is everything straight out of the camera. On the GoPro, the picture profile is set to GoPro color, and on the iPhone, I haven't changed anything when it comes to colors. If it was me, I would definitely take the iPhone as my main YouTube studio camera than the GoPro, and that's actually why I was using the iPhone as my main YouTube studio camera for about 6 to 7 months, simply because the iPhone has a better field of view, a lot more natural field of view, in my personal opinion, than the fisheye look on the GoPro camera. You can use your GoPro as your main YouTube studio camera if you want to, but for me personally, I like the look that I get from my iPhone than what I'm getting with my GoPro. And also the exposure and the low light performance looks somewhat better on the iPhone, in my personal opinion. And the colors of the skin, the colors overall, look a lot better on the iPhone than on the GoPro. But let me know down below which one you like more and which one is more suitable for your needs. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. Hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.